On this episode of Whether or Not, we'll take a look at the energy you have in your backyard with a feature by Allie. We have plenty of nature in the news stories, including a look at the Antarctic winds and the latest on the earthquake in New Zealand. Whether or Not starts right now. Hello and welcome to another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Michael Spagnolo.
And I'm your other host, Ann Rodden.
Well, Ann, finally a change in temperatures on this week, and I was very excited to have some colder weather. A few snowflakes flying and accumulations in parts of the state.
Yeah, it's starting to actually feel like winter here in State College. And it has been a great break for us, students away, so This is a nice time to get home and spend time with our families and
we
friends.
Hope all the students have traveled home safe, and we'll travel back safe, as of course we play Michigan State this weekend. Looking forward to our last home football game of the season.
Especially as our senior year.
Yes, so I'm very excited to be attending that once again. So for this show today, we have plenty of nature in the news stories, so without further ado, we'll jump right in. About 1 year ago, a small group of Penn State students and alumni launched Sunset Weather, a company providing sunset and sunrise quality predictions. Computer models were coded by the group, taking into account a variety of factors when determining the quality of the upcoming sunrise or sunset. 1 year later, Sunset Weather has gained national attention, providing forecasts for 35 news platforms across North America. Currently, the team is designing a smartphone app to allow push notifications based on your location to alert you if the sunset or sunrise will be worthwhile to go watch. You can view their latest forecasts online at sunsetwx.com. The sunset forecast is updated during the mid-afternoon and the sunrise forecast during the late evening. The group will be presenting their models at the upcoming American Meteorological Society annual meeting in January. We continue to wish Steve, Jake, Ben, and Justin the best of luck with the company.
Women in Engineering Day, held on November 4th at Penn State Behrend, was attended by 137 area high school girls. The outreach effort, now in its 11th year, is designed to introduce high school girls to engineering fields and careers through a series of hands-on activities. During the day, more than 50 female mentors, professionals from Erie Insurance, FMC Technologies, GE Transportation, Zurn Industries, and National Fuel Gas, as well as Penn State Behrend students, presented workshops to the girls who came from high schools in Erie, Crawford, and Warren counties, and from Western New York.
Every now and then, heartbreaking stories of seabirds eating plastic and the accompanying horrible images are brought up to the public. But now scientists are asking an important question. Why do seabirds eat plastic in the first place? The answer, it turns out, lies in a compound in the plastic, which emits a chemical scent that some birds associate with their daily food. As a result, when seabirds find chunks of plastic bobbing in the water, they gobble them up, not realizing that they've just consumed something very dangerous. This experiment started when researchers at the University of California took samples of some plastic sewn into mesh bags and let them marinate in the ocean a while. Upon taking them out, researchers found that the plastic reeked of something called dimethyl sulfide, or DMS, a compound emitted by algae as it breaks down. Algae commonly emits DMS when being snapped up by krill and other microorganisms that some birds feed on, so the smell is essentially like a dinner bell for the bird. The study could also be helpful for examining plastic consumptions in species beyond the bird kingdom, and suggests that other compounds in plastics could send out other signals to hungry wildlife.
Last week, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake, followed by several powerful aftershocks, struck parts of New Zealand. Kaikoura, about 100 miles north of Christchurch, was the hardest hit. Thousands are estimated to be stranded in towns near the quake's epicenter due to blocked roadways from landslides caused by the earthquake. An estimated 80,000 to 100,000 landslides have occurred since the earthquake, and the situation has only been made worse by flooding rainfall. Australia, Canada, and the United States are sending aid. The USS Sampson will be bringing resources to New Zealand and will be the first U.S. warship to visit the country in 30 years. Helicopters are being used to evacuate tourists and locals who would like to leave until the roads can be cleared. Unfortunately, many injuries were reported and 2 deaths have been verified so far.
A peculiar storm swept across the mountains of the Antarctic Peninsula in February of this year. Several scientists hunkered down in their tents as a torrent of horizontal blowing snow washed through. Erin Pettit found her way through the camp by following a series of red and green canvas flags flapping on bamboo poles. But when she looked up and she saw something strange, a circle of blue sky directly overhead. It revealed that no new snow was actually falling. The blizzard consisted entirely recycled snow, a thin layer of it, only a few feet thick, blowing along the ground. The wind had melted enough to form hundreds of ponds on the glacier's surface. In some places, much of that abnormal warmth is invading in the form of powerful downhill winds called foehn winds. Pettit suspects that these winds contributed to a series of dramatic glacial collapses that have been steadily redrawing the map on the east side of the Antarctic Peninsula for the last 30 years.
Crippling drought conditions are sparking up enormous forest fires across 6 states in the South. More than 30 large wildfires have left a trail of destruction through 80,000 acres in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and Kentucky, according to the U.S. Fire Service. The dry weather and high winds in these areas continue to help drive the severe fires. Prolonged drought conditions in the South have also left exceptional fuel sources for large forest fires, such as old sticks, leaves, and logs. A small number of the fires are being investigated as suspected arson, but natural causes and conditions are mostly responsible for the fires. Solar energy has been making astronomical strides in becoming one of the cleanest forms of renewable energy. This technology has been increasing in popularity over the last decade and has become a viable option for businesses and homeowners. Creating solar energy includes taking the power from the sun and molding it into a new energy to sustain electrical needs. Electricity can be produced directly from photovoltaic or PV cells, where photovoltaic literally means light and electric. When sunshine hits the PV cell, the photons of light excite the electrons in the cell and cause them to flow, generating electricity across the panel. One business that utilizes solar panel energy and local materials is right here in our very own backyard. Happy Valley Vineyard and Winery was established in 1999 with an initial 3 acres of vines on land initially settled for farming in the 1850s. The vineyard has more than tripled in size to 9 acres and consists of white and red cultivars that are well adapted to the continental climate of Center County and to the limestone soils of the farm. The winery was built in the summer of 2010, where the vineyard grows approximately 90% of the grapes used to produce the wine. This farm-to-bottle winery supplies several restaurants around the State College area and participates in farmers markets throughout the summer months. Elwyn and Barb, owners of Happy Valley Vineyard and Winery, have been using solar panels in their home and at their vineyard for several years. The owners' main goal is to conduct their business in the most sustainable way possible.
We experimented with solar panels and found out that they worked well in this area, in spite of what we were hearing. So when we built the winery, we committed to a 9.8 kilowatt photovoltaic system. And just environmental concerns, and also as a means of managing our cash flow. So supply us with about year-round, I would say on the average of about 80% of our power needs, and that has remained fairly constant with no interruptions because we are grid tied. So we have a net metering system. It is grid tied. So when it's not producing from sun power, it's on the grid, and our power source is totally uninterrupted. So no change really. It's all been very positive, and that's been a constant. So no negatives at all.
Well, we're so happy that we actually put in another system that's powering our house and our other buildings associated with the farm.
So we put in this has been extremely dependable, very efficient. It was a very well designed system, and we committed this summer, in
Yes.
fact, to I think it's a 9.9 kilowatt system for our home that operates our house, all of our outbuildings, and our wine storage facility. And our two last light bills have been $5.82 a month, and
Yeah.
that's essentially paying a maintenance fee for being able to share the grid. A connection fee and essentially a monthly charge to be on the grid. So it has made a significant difference.
Happy Valley Vineyard and Winery has made a significant commitment to renewable energy by installing 2 PV arrays on the property. Their main goal was to reduce their vineyard's carbon footprint. One system installed to the roof of the winery provides about 85% of the power needed during the months when the vineyard is clear of snow. A second PV ground-mounted array supplies the home, outbuildings, and the wine storage complex with nearly 100% of the electric requirements in need. The farm is fully committed to solar-based power for operation, and they are dedicated to investing in this technology. What makes solar energy such a great option for the environment is its efficiency, its low cost effectiveness, and the use of solar panels has reduced greenhouse gas emissions as well. Lastly, the creation of solar energy requires little maintenance. Once the solar panels have been installed and are working at maximum efficiency, there is only a small amount of maintenance required each year to ensure they are in working order. As more and more businesses take the opportunity to seize renewable energy, the healthier the earth becomes. For Whether or Not, I'm Allie Debicki.
Well, thank you, Allie. The Southeast is hoping for some rain to alleviate some of those wildfire.
Yeah, they'll certainly be thankful if they could get some rainfall in the near future. And speaking of thanks, we would just quickly like to say thank you to our viewers for supporting us and tuning in every week. We greatly do appreciate it. Now it's time for our Weather Whiz quiz question. Earlier in the show, we asked you, out of the last 3 years in State College, how many Thanksgiving days did the temperature stay below freezing? Was it A, 0, B, 1, C, 2, or D, all 3 years? If you picked C, 2, then you are correct.
Yes, last year we had another warmer Thanksgiving. It was into the 50s, and the year after that, it started to get around below freezing.
Yeah, so 2 years ago was a cold one, not the freezing part, and then 3 years ago, back in 2013, another cold Thanksgiving. Temperatures only got into the lower 20s. 23 degrees was our afternoon high temperature. So not going to be that cold for this Thanksgiving, but close to average.
Yes, a nice mild Thanksgiving for a great and delicious turkey.
That is for sure. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Michael Spagnolo.
And I'm your co-host, Ann Rodden. Have a fantastic holiday weekend.